Welcome to Vintage Blend Studio. Come and create with me. It's Susanna Easdale here. I'm going to be doing a journal page in my Jane Davenport art journal. Getting it all ready. I'm going to be using a stencil which I got out of a Daphne's Diary magazine as a freebie. You can also use a doily if you want to. I'm spraying it with my homemade ink sprays which I've made out of Brusho's pigments, and I added water, so I used all different. I think that's turquoise that I'm using, and turquoise, and looks like a lemony colour. And when you spray it with the green, with the blue, it becomes green. I think more of a greeny lemony colour. It's one of these, though. The stencils from Kazar Craft. I love the patterns it makes. When you first see this, it looks really messy, but once it dries, it turns out okay. When I first started doing, I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? It looks awful, but the more I do, the more the patterns come out really nice. That's a crimson colour. It's called alizarin crimson, but I just call it crimson because it's too hard to say. And the colour blend, see the blue and the crimson, it makes a sort of a purpley colour. Now I'm doing a yellow. I think it's called lemon. That's what it's called. You can do this same technique with any sprays that you have got. Use what you've got at home. You don't need to have what I have. I love the way the crimson looks. It's really pink's my favourite colour. I think it's too much because it's quite watery. You have to dab it up with a face washer. A face washer. Oh, good grief. A towel. Paper towel. There we go. Can't even think straight. And I think here I come in with a grey, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how that's going to look, but it probably turns out to be one of the favourite colours. It's quite striking. It's quite nice. You could almost use the paper towel as part of an artwork when you finish, because they've got all these beautiful colours on it. Using the grey again. It's a good way to use stencils in a different way. Deciding what colour I'm going to use. Come in with a bit more lemon by the looks of it. I think I'll come in with colour or a violet. There we go, pink and blue, and then it becomes a purpley lighty colour. It dries quite nice actually. Get the heat gun onto it. I've got the Jane Davenport Beautiful Faces book, and I'm inspired by this girl here. I really like the way she's done the hair, so I'm just using it as inspiration, but I draw in my own style, which is what you want to do. You don't want to directly do what she's doing and record it because it's copyright then, but she's very good inspiration. Jane Davenport is an awesome artist. My faces always look a little bit different. They're always a little bit rounder. In the book it gives you how to where to put things, and on the face that is. It's got really good instruction on how to draw beautiful faces. But I've been doing faces for a while, so I'm not too bad at copying them or getting, well, an indication of where they are in my own style. But you do the general circle and then line in the middle and eye sort of like halfway through the page, and then nose a little bit halfway between that line. But it will show you in the book. Hope I'm just rambling, not making any sense. This is a bit of a longer video today, but it's because there's quite a few processes. You learn a lot of techniques in this. You quite a bit of mixed media. In the book it shows you how to do the braids, which is quite nice. So I've sort of hers is a bit looser. I sort of do more of a braid look. When you draw hair, you don't need to do every strand. That's the trap I think that people fall into. It just takes so much time. If you do every strand, you just sort of insinuate, do a few strands, do the block of colour, and then highlight it with pencil, which is what I'll be doing, over the acrylic paint. At the moment you can't really see too much because of the background, but once you add some acrylic paint, I'm using Folk Art Victorian Rose, it's called. I think that's right. But use whatever, and I'm mixing a bit of white because it's quite peachy. Didn't want it to be too peachy, pinky colour. You have to, this is just the first coat, you have to give it a couple of coats to make sure you cover everything underneath that, all the background, but enough to see. You don't go over the mouth and the eyes, but I go over the nose a bit, but you can still tend to see it a little bit, enough for you to redraw. Colouring in the body, even though that will be covered up a little bit later on with a nice piece of paper, but at least I know where everything's going to go. A bit more and a bit of thickness. And if you're impatient like me and you want it to dry, you get out the blow dryer or the heat gun, whatever you've got. Even though I've covered the nose, I can still just see it underneath. Picking out little bits of paint because it's a little bit on the older side. I'm just using what I've got. I'm a big believer of that. Use what you have. I mean, if you haven't really got any paints, you can always use gesso, which you can mix in pigments in with, like brushes, or maybe even a bit of watercolour. You get like tinted gesso, that would probably work if you don't have a skin colour. Yeah, just use what you've got on hand. There we go, drying it so I can get ready for the next coat. Now that's Folk Art Teal, it's called. A little bit of white so it's not so bright. It still is fairly bright for hair, but I like the colour. getting there. Sometimes it's really hard to say when you're doing a voiceover. There's only so much you can say. Fairly new at this, so I'm sure after I've done quite a few videos I'll get better. The art part is the easy part for me. It's doing all the voiceovers and the editing and recording and all the technical side of it all is a bit hard for me. But I've got a son that's going to an academy and learning on, he's becoming an editor, so he's helped me a lot in order to record and edit and everything, so which is really good. I'm glad. I don't know what I would have done if he hadn't have helped me. Now just painting in the eyes. Sorry about top of my head there. Okay. Now this is from Jo Sonia. It's called Plum Pink. I don't think they sell it anymore. I actually got it when it was on sale because they don't sell this colour anymore. But I'm sure a rose colour or some sort of pink would be just effective. We'll use what you have. So on the cheeks and a bit on the lip, and it looks very bright for now, but then I go over it with some more of the skin colour just to tone it in. And here I'm just doing a bit of highlights. Usually you always do a bit of highlights on the necks, neck and shoulder, and there we go. That's looking a little bit better. Hopefully the video is not stopping and starting for you. It's what I'm watching. It seems to be a bit jerky, but my son assures me that it will be okay. So I'm hoping. She looks a little naked at the moment. Now just colouring in the whites of the eyes. I use the white to do highlights as well, which you usually do on your nose, the bits that stick out the nose and on the chin and sort of above the eyes a little bit. Any bit that sort of sticks out a little bit, I went a bit over, but it was easy to fix. She will start to look a little bit more like a person once I get the eyebrows and the eyelashes in, which comes with the highlight a bit later on. Working in with my pencils. Because it's a matte paint, you can use pencils over the top, just like here. I'm redrawing in the nose. And out comes the rubber. But when I do the, I got a smaller one because it needed to be a bit more finer details. Go over the lips a little bit. What about any other pencil marks? I think I leave that to dry a little bit. And then I used the Mademoiselle, Mademoiselle, I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, Mademoiselle from Kazar Craft Papers. So I'm cutting out her, which becomes her dress. And this paper is called Threadwork. It's really pretty. And I used the top half of it for the other side. So, and this is one thing that you can learn from me. Hopefully you watch this first and then maybe attempt to do this. I should have done this step first and then drawn the hair and coloured in the hair over the top, which makes it a lot easier. I still make it work, but I just have to draw and cut around it. It ends up looking like it's always that you wouldn't know that's what I did. So there's always ways and means of getting around it. But when you go to cut it, you're like, oh, I hope this works. And then I use the other bit to do in that little rest of it. Here we go. Yeah, rub out any pencil lines. It still looks a little bit funny, but when I put the pencil in, when I do the hair, I sort of go around it and it blends it right in. I think that looks a little better. She now looks a bit more decent. I'm cutting out a couple of butterflies. One's going to go on her shoulder and the other one goes on her head. And I'm like, no, that doesn't look right. It's the wrong way. There we go. I cut out this one and it's the only one in the right size that is facing that way. So I just have to draw in a little bit, and then I think I use paint or pencils to colour it in, and just as well I had a bit of an edge on the paper so to draw it in. Now I'm ripping up the bit to do the saying, the quote that I'm going to have on the other page. And this is the same I can't say it. Mademoiselle. Oh, terrible. I'm not very good at speaking French. And this is called Floral Spray. And the butterfly one is called Flutter. And they're from Kazar Craft. It's a really pretty collection as well. I just love the roses. They're so vintagey, old world looking. They're really pretty. And I cut out a couple of little butterflies to go on that page. And now it's time to get her dressed using Liquitex matte medium, which is great because it's the beauty of having a matte medium. You can put it on and then you can even put it over the top, and it becomes matte and you're able to draw over the top and there's not any issues. Even that looks alright. The colours match the paints in the background. But I needed more of a plain paper so that I could write a saying on there. Sticking down the little butterflies. So this is like the collage element of the mixed media page. This is why the video is so long, because there's a lot of techniques in it. So pretty. nice butterfly on top. And then the last rose on the bottom of that. I really love the look of the background. Now that it's dry, it really looks nice. The grey and the smaller little flowers underneath. It's come up really well. Very happy with it. This is the first time I've done a technique like this, and I surprised myself. I just put in the saying in pencil. Just like a butterfly, I will awaken in my own time. And so I write it in with what are they called? A calligraphy pen, which is sort of a bit flat on one side. If I didn't write it in, I'm going to make sure that it's all straight and right. Quite like this saying, which I tend to resonate with. I like, we do things in our own time. That half of the page was very easy. It's the other side. Now I'm using my Prismacolor portrait set, I think it's called. Great pencils, I just love them. They're just so soft. I think, what colour do I use? It's called, there's no black in this set, which I think is really funny. That is actually called, what I'm using for, it's called indigo blue. Oh, no, I'm using indigo blue for the hair. This one is actually called Argyle Rose, I think. Just to add a bit. And it's amazing how much more she comes to life once you use the pencils. It really adds dimension, and she turns out really pretty. I'm very happy with her. Doing it over the eye. Now she's starting to get a bit more of a dimension over the eye and not looking so flat. Because the pencils are so soft, you can rub it in with your finger and smudge it. They're just beautiful. I love them. I use them to colour in, because it's got a lot of browns and stuff in there as well. I use them to draw animals and whatever. Here I'm using a pink, I think, just called Pink. Yep. Do a bit more highlighting on the lips. When you do lips, you do a little bit darker on the upper lip and then lighter on the bottom, and then add a little white highlight for the lack of reflection on the bottom lip. So a little bit of pink around the sides. And under the nose for that little bit. And with the white pencil, I usually do it on top of the nose, and a sort of little round, sort of going up the nose, and a real round part on the top, because that's where the light reflects off, just on top of the cheeks and over the eye and above the mouth and on the chin. I think I might do that, come in with a gel pen later on the chin. Then I go over the whole lot to give it a smooth finish with, what's it called? It's called light peach. Yeah, light peach. Should be nice if you could really colour in that fast. If I didn't do it in fast forward, we'd be here all day. Which is starting to come to life a little bit more, but it's once you put in the black pencil around the eyes, which this set doesn't have a black, so I end up using a Faber-Castell Polychromos black. more definition. Here we go, there's the black pencil. Or that a little bit of the tear duct in the corner, like a little bit of a going down into the middle. See, now she's coming to life because she's actually got a pupil. It makes a big difference. And I come in with the peach, not the light peach, in the corner of her eyes. Do the eyebrows. There you go. Now she's starting to come alive. And her skin is flawless. Be nice if we could look like that. I usually like to go over the mouth and nose again in the black, just to make them stand out a little more, which is a bit scary, but worst case scenario, it's pencil and you could rub it out if you make a mistake. Now I add in the eyelashes. Oh, doesn't she look pretty? Now with the light, you add a highlight in the eyes, which sort of gives it that bit of glint, and also on the lips, on the bottom. I think at one stage I was holding 3 pencils at once. How many hand at one time? Smudging it in. When you're actually busy doing this, you don't really notice it until you are watching the re-recording of it and doing a voiceover, that you're like, there's so many different little steps, and I keep going back to stuff, and you just have to get it just right. Little touches here and there, which all adds to the total of it in the end. So now I'm using the indigo blue for the hair, and I think I come in with the Parma violet as well. Yeah, this is where I blend it in on the bottom, so you don't really notice that it's been cut out, the lace. Now, in order to be able to draw over paint, it has to be matte paint. If you've got anything that's got a little bit of a shine in it, the pencils just don't work really well. So most paints that you can get from paint shops or craft shops are matte, but make sure that if you are going to do mixed media, that it is a matte finish. Like Jane Davenport paints are the matte finish, and I think the Kazar craft ones, the folk art ones I'm using, Joe Sonia, most of them are. I think I'm coming in with the violet here, adding a little bit extra. See, it's just adding a few lines. You've got the block base colour, and adding a few little strands on the top of the head and down the side, just to sort of have a few individual strands coming out, which makes it look not so stiff. And then adding the white highlights sort of brings it to life a little bit too. There we go. I think this is where I was holding 3 pencils at once. A bit more on the shoulder. Oh, highlight around the lace. Smudge it in with the light peach. Coming close to nearly finishing. I've got the butterflies to do, and more highlights. It's all these little extra touches. Keep going back for more, retouching up. Each person is individual. See, that really brings it to life. It's a gel pen, like even though the white pencil's okay, the gel's more of an ink, and so it makes it stand out just that little bit more. Yeah. And you can smudge it in with your finger. Do a few lines, indicate the sort of lines we have on our lips. Now I come in with an ink pencil, not ink pencil, ink pen, to sort of darken up the pupils a little bit and darken up the eyelashes, which really, and around the eyes, which make it stand out a bit more. She sort of reminds me a little bit of Elsa from Frozen, and also Katniss from the Hunger Games, that style of hair. A few more highlights. Now I just colour in a little bit of the butterfly that wasn't able to be a part of it. And once it's done, you wouldn't even know. Go around the outside to sort of define the butterfly a little bit more and blend it all in. There you go. Wouldn't even know that it wasn't like that. Okay, time to stick her on. And then the one on the top. And when I cut it out, I don't cut out the legs or the little antenna that they've got. I just draw them in again later because it's just too tedious. Much easier to draw them in with a little ink pen later. And I think we're probably, apart from a few little bits and pieces, pretty well done. I hope you enjoyed this. I really loved doing this, and if you've got any questions or anything, just leave comment at the back. Comment at the back down below. Oh, I'm getting there. Yeah, thank you for watching and being patient enough to watch to the end if you did. These are a little bit longer than, say, my scrapbook layouts, but I enjoy doing them too. It gives you a lot of process details of how to do different techniques. So, and it's something a little bit different, just drawing for the sake of drawing. Going around the butterflies. And then doing a couple of stitch marks. It's all the little details that add the finishing touches. I'm really happy with her, I just love it. And put my signature on there and I think I'm pretty much done. Sign and date. Thanks for watching, guys, I appreciate it. A bit of a close. See you later. Thanks for watching. If this video inspired you, please like and subscribe. Bye!